Hello, Math 7. This is Miss Uhas here giving you lesson 1-4, one of my favorite discussions, the order of operations. I know that you guys have done this before with plain old parentheses, addition and subtraction. For some reason, at the beginning of every school year, every student must relearn the order of operations. I don't know why. Maybe you guys keep forgetting it over the summer. And this time, we're also going to be adding what you learned in the last lesson, which is exponents. So forgive me for repeating myself, but let's go through the steps necessary in order to do the order of operations. And for that, we always remember that acronym, PEMDAS. P-E, and then watch, I put the M and the D next to each other, the A and the S next to each other. Okay, so as you remember, P stands for parentheses. Or you might also want to think of it as grouping symbols. Because not only do you get parentheses, but that also includes brackets, which do the same thing. A bracket is nothing more complicated than another parentheses. And you also have fractions. So for example, if you get a problem where you have an operation on top of another operation in the form of a fraction, then you want to remember that that fraction bar, this fraction bar right here, represents another way of grouping. So you've got to solve the operations on the top of it and the bottom of it first before you do anything else. Okay, then we've got E, which stands for exponents. For example, you might get a problem with an exponent in it, and you would know that you would need to solve that exponent first before you did anything else like multiply, divide, add, or subtract. Speaking of multiplication and division, I have it at M/D so that you can remember that it's do the multiplication or the division in order from left to right. So if you get a problem where it says 12 times 3 divided by 2, since the multiplication is the furthest to the left, you're going to do that first. And I like to represent that by actually surrounding that problem with parentheses. Then you're going to do the division second, because you always go from left to right. Now, if you get a problem where you have division first, well then, tough. You're just going to have to do the division before the multiplication. So let's say you got a problem like 12 divided by 2 times 3. In this case, from left to right, the division comes first. So you've got to do the division problem first, and then you're going to do times 3 second. So let's go back to the first problem here, 12 times 3 divided by 2. See if you can find the correct answer there. Stop the video. Solve it. All right, 12 times 3 is 36. What's 36 divided by 2? That would be 18. Okay, take a look at the other problem on the right. 12 divided by 2 times 3. What's the answer? 12 divided by 2 is going to give you 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Isn't that funky how those give you the same answer? Weird. All right. Finally, let's not forget addition and subtraction. These follow the exact same rules as multiplication and division. If you see an addition problem on the far left, you do that one first, then you do any subtraction to the right. However, if you see subtraction to the left first, then you do that first, and then you do any addition. For example, if you get 5 plus 3 minus 4, you're going to do 5 plus 3 first because the addition is the furthest on the left. 5 plus 3 is 8 minus 4 is equal to 4. If, on the other hand, you get subtraction first, 5 minus 4 plus 3, you've got to do the subtraction first. So 5 minus 4 is 1 plus 3 is 4. And again, it's weird how you end up with the same problem. I don't know. Maybe I'm going too fast and I'm not thinking clearly. Anyway, the best way to do this is just to do a bunch of sample problems and see if you can figure them out. So I'm going to throw some sample problems at you on the next slide, and let's see if you can do this. Okay, let's try this one first. Let's do something easy. 5 plus, open parentheses, 12 minus 3. Stop the video. And I don't know what that glitch was, but go with it. Start it up again. And I always like to solve these problems vertically so that I know that I'm doing one step at a time. I have to do 12 minus 3 first. I know it's on the right, but it's in parentheses, and parentheses always go first. So 12 minus 3 is 9. So the problem is really 5 plus 9, and then hopefully you can do the rest of that, and you get an answer of 14. Next problem. 8 minus 3 times 2 plus 7. Stop the video and solve it. Okay, now take a look at this. Remember, we're always going to do multiplication before we do addition or subtraction, so I always give myself a grouping symbol right here to remind myself to solve this first. If I do that correctly, then what I have here is 8 minus 3 times 2 is 6, and then plus 7. Now we're going to go left to right. So if I have to put in another set of parentheses to remind myself of that, I'm going to do 8 minus 6 first. That's going to give me 2. And then I'm going to add 7, and you should have got an answer of 9. Again, notice that I'm going vertically, so I show all of my steps, and I have a separate line for every step that I do. Are you ready for something a little more difficult? I have 2 more sample problems for you. Here's the first one. I want you to solve 5 times 3 squared minus 7. Stop the video. Okay, according to the order of operations, it's PEMDAS, so we have got to deal with the 3 squared first. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. So this is really 5 times 9 minus 7. If we follow through order of operations, we're going to do multiplication before we do division. I always put a grouping symbol to help myself. 9 times 5 is 45. Now we're just subtracting 7, and hopefully you got an answer of 38. Please note, I show every step on a different line, so I don't drop anything, I don't drop any negative signs, and I don't do it messily so I can't tell what I'm doing. All right, last problem, probably the hardest problem. Let's find out. What about 14 plus 3 times 7 minus 2, close parentheses, stop the video. Okay, order of operations says we're going to solve this problem backwards. We're going to start with the parentheses. So this is really 14 plus 3 times whatever 7 minus 2 is. 7 minus 2 is 5. Okay, next step in the order of operations is to do the multiplication. That would be this part right here. 3 times 5 is 15. So the problem you're solving is 14 plus 15, and you should get an answer of 29. I hope I wasn't talking too fast. I hope you were able to figure the basic operations here for the order of operations. It should have been a pretty decent review, and obviously we're going to do a lot more practice in class. Thanks a lot, guys.